Good evening and welcome to the Port District Master Plan Public Information Meeting. Today is Thursday, January 28th. It's just after 6 p.m. and we are going to get started. My name is Jennifer Davis. I'm the CRA Project Manager. Here with me is Kelly Boatwright, the Project Manager with Parks and Recreation, and she's overseeing this project. Our project is featured on the City of PSL Port website at cityofpsl.com/theport. Tonight's meeting will feature welcome and introductions. We will have a history of the Port District by Brad Keene, our Assistant Director for Parks and Recreation. Then we will shift to our planning consultant, who is Land Design, and we have several team members here that will be assisting with the presentation. And then we will bring it back to the open format for question and answer at the end. So just as a quick reminder, in this Zoom format, all the microphones will be muted during the presentation. If you have a question or comment, we would like you to type it into the Q&A feature at the bottom of the screen, and again, we will answer those at the end of the presentation. There will be several polling questions throughout the presentation, and we will provide results to those during the presentation. And then a copy of the both my presentation as well as the consultants will be available on the website after the meeting. To start off, the Port District has been featured in our current strategic plan under Goal 6 for culture, nature, and fun activities. The development of the Port Master Plan is one of the activities, as well as starting to implement some of the recommendations out of the master plan, as well as those recommendations you might have already heard of related to the Pioneer Park playground, the event lawn, the continuing construction of the boardwalk, and the historic homes and such. So with that, I'm going to hand off a few minutes to Brad Keene, who's going to give you a little history lesson about the Port District.
Thank you, Jennifer. Good evening, everybody. Welcome for joining us tonight. For many people, long-term residents of the city of Port St. Lucie, you'll remember that the idea or concept of a entertainment, retail, recreational district developed along the shores of the North Fork of the St. Lucie River has been in place for well over 20 years. The two plans that you see on the screen tonight, those were developed in the late 1990s, early 2000s, and it shows possibilities of what conceptually could have been developed at the time along that area of what used to be known as Midport Road and is now referred to as Veterans Memorial Parkway. You'll see later in the presentation tonight that the district, the Port District that we refer to, is now going to encompass the property lying just north of the Anchorage community, which has historically been referred to as the Westmoreland Tract, and runs north all the way to Lingate Park. The history of the the Riverwalk project, as I said, goes back to the early 2000s. And in 2003, the city developed a project to really initiate the start of the Riverwalk project. And that was the construction and development of a boardwalk that connected to the city's original wooden boardwalk structure, which was developed in approximately 1983. And that project took place at what is now known as Tom Hooper Park. And there's a 500-plus foot boardwalk that runs through the mangroves and through an oak hammock, and then connects to the river, and then goes south to the Port St. Lucie bridges and terminates where it exists today. All told, when connected to the original boardwalk structure, that length of boardwalk north of the Port St. Lucie bridges, Port St. Lucie Boulevard bridges, totals approximately 1,000 feet in length. In 2008, the city rebuilt the original boardwalk structure to match the Tom Hooper structure, which was built as a structure that is approximately 10 foot in width, using composite recycled material for the decking. And we matched that when we replaced the old wooden structure on the north end of the boardwalk, Riverwalk Boardwalk. So that was done in 2008. So as I said, those are two components that were built some 15 plus years ago, 18 years ago, and these were just one component of the overall plan that was originally envisioned. Tonight, I encourage you to participate by writing questions via the Zoom app. Ask your questions of our consultants and staff members, and together we can work toward making a vision truly happen for what we're referring to as the port. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. Appreciate that little bit of history. We're going to go ahead and move forward as promised into a couple of polling questions. We want to make sure that you're familiar with utilizing this feature in Zoom. So I've created a few icebreaker, easy questions to answer before we get to some of the deeper questions related to amenities of the port. So with that, our first question for this polling test would be, are you a full-time or part-time resident of Florida? So your choices are you are a full-time resident, a part-time resident, or you're not a resident and you are just visiting. And we're going to go ahead and close that one out. And it looks like 100% of you that voted are full-time residents. So we appreciate you taking the time for that. And we're going to do one more quick one. If you do, since you've all indicated that you are full-time residents, if you live within the city limits of Port St. Lucie, do you live east or west of the St. Lucie River? Choices are east of the river, west of the river, or you don't live within the limits of Port St. Lucie. And we'll go ahead and close that one out. And it looks like over half that voted live east of the river, which this project does fall on the east side of the St. Lucie River. And then we have some that are west of the river and just a few that are outside city limits. So that's the general format of how the polling questions will go. There will be a lot more choices on that. And with that, I am going to hand over the presentation to Land Design, who will start their portion of the presentation.
Thank you, Jen and Brad, for that great intro of the history and intro to the project. Thank you to everyone also online for joining us today and participating. Obviously, your feedback and dialogue is very important to us in this project. And we're looking forward to the polling questions, because that will definitely kind of drive a lot of the design decisions we end up making. And tonight, we're just going to go over a quick presentation of some of the needs, wants, desires, and maybe expectations that you all might have, and I think that'll come through in some of the polling questions. But we have a pretty extensive team that's working on this master plan. As Jen mentioned, I'm Chad Kowaleski. I'm a principal with Land Design. We're a landscape architecture and civil engineering firm. I'm a planner and landscape architect myself. Joining me tonight to my right is Beth Poovey, who is our Director of Greenways, Parks, and Open Space, so perfect project for her to join the team on. Lucido Associates is on our team, represented by Steve Garrett, who is a landscape architect as well. To my immediate right is John Ward, who's president of 505 Design. They are an architecture firm really focusing on visioning, branding, creating places that really have a great energy and story behind them. And Land Design definitely teams up with 505 Design quite a bit. As well as we're joined by Esteban Biondi online, who represents ATM, and they're a marina and waterfront specialist. One thing that both Land Design, 505, and the rest of the team really tries to do in every project is create a place that truly matters. And to create those types of places, we really need to get to the heart and soul and come up with an idea and story that we can then start to translate to the land. And that comes through from this discovery process, but also a lot of dialogue that we're having with stakeholders, as well as community input that you all are going to provide this evening. Just quick overview of the schedule for the presentation. We'll go over some initial findings of ours, goals, kind of springboarding on what Jen had already set forth in the beginning, and then the survey polling questions at the end. We were awarded this planning effort in early November, and really over the last several months, we've been diving into a lot of assessment of the property, going through a lot of the master plan info that Brad presented earlier, and gathering as much data over the last 25 years as we possibly can, putting together a lot of the existing plans that are either in development or under construction, and setting up some kind of baseline plans and parameters for us to move forward on this planning effort. We're kind of at the tail end, what we're calling the discovery phase, which over the last 2 days, John, Beth, and myself, and some of the other team members have been really kind of diving in and experiencing the Port District site, both from the land, but also from the water. And after this meeting, we're really going to kind of put all of our heads together, get the planning team together, and start developing some preliminary concepts. So we're really still at the gathering state of the project. After that preliminary planning and a lot more discussion and involvement, we'll eventually put together a final master plan that will be delivered during this summer. Kind of to get everyone their bearings, similar to the maps that Brad presented, north is actually left on this diagram, and the project limits go from Lingate Park at the north, all the way south, paralleling Veterans Memorial Parkway, down to the Preserve and the Pioneer Park project that was mentioned earlier as well, and obviously the river as a boundary on the west. Through some of the assessment and information that we have had and dialogue, these are just some very preliminary opportunities that we've started to place on the plan and will help us move forward as we get some more information. Kind of also springboarding from some of the Parks and Rec's importance is nature, and we've learned a lot that is even more important than previously expected, and kind of how we can tap into that. Knowing that the site is very linear, north to south, connections and how we connect the northern part to the south is critical, but also how we can enhance connections to nature throughout this master planning project, because we know that's definitely an important aspect, but also enhancing a lot of the great placemaking elements that already exist on the project or on the periphery of the project, and make those even better and add new moments and things that you can experience along the way. So we're excited to do that and move it forward, and again, really looking forward to the feedback we start to get this evening.
Now we get to the part where you get to tell us what you think. So I'm going to ask you a few questions, and as you can see on the screen, and the pop-up will also show up. So the first question, of the existing facilities, which do you most visit or most want to visit in the study area? Lingott Park, the dog park, Veterans Memorial Park, the promenade, Veterans Park at Rivergate Boat Ramp, Bridge Plaza, the boardwalk, the botanical gardens, or Rivergate Nights at the event lawn.
And you can select multiple on that question. Hopefully you're visiting them all. Right?
Okay, just a few more seconds, and then we're going to close the poll. And the poll is closed. So it looks like the Bridge Plaza is the area that's most visited, followed by the Botanical Gardens. So that's very interesting.
And River Nights, popular.
I have to scroll down.
Need to
Yeah,
give
River
some
Nights
love
at
to
the event
Lingate.
lawn. Great. So the next question is, the study area has many environmental benefits for wildlife and water quality. Which of the following best describes your opinion of how these are a public asset? 1, they are too environmentally significant, keep people out. 2, they offer a lot of opportunities for environmental education for the public. Let people enjoy land and water areas with an emphasis on environmental protection. And 3, this is a great recreational asset. Let people use it extensively as a priority. All right, we're going to close it. So overwhelmingly, number 2, they offer a lot of opportunities for environmental education for the public. Let people enjoy land and water areas with an emphasis on environmental protection. So good balance there. Okay, and the 5th question, help us understand what related transportation improvements are most important to you. How would you most prefer to access the Port District? You can choose all that apply. Car, public transportation, on foot, bike, perhaps an on-site trolley, private motorized boat, a non-motorized boat, watercraft, or a water taxi. All right, just a few more seconds. And let's close it and see what the results are. Car. So getting there by car is the most preferred way, but not followed quickly by on foot or bike. And water taxi. I see that too, is number 7. Great, thank you. Number 6. What would you like to do or go to in the Port District? You can choose all that apply. Enjoy nature, walk, bike, boat, a restaurant, shop, play, picnic, cultural events, or kayak or paddleboard. If there's something else you would like to do that you don't see on this list, you can write that in the chat. Oh, in the Q&A, sorry. All right, 5 more seconds. All right, let's close that. Visit a restaurant. So that's very interesting, followed by cultural events. And then walk, or enjoy nature and walk. But everything got chosen, so those are all very helpful and interesting
Yeah, it shows the diversity of
options.
offerings already.
Okay, and this is your final question. As you experience the existing amenities and features within the Port District, what do you feel is missing the most? You can choose your top 2 here, please. Improved connectivity, enhanced areas to stop, places to get in touch with natural elements, enhanced plantings, signage and wayfinding, parking, dining or food opportunities, docks for access from the water, programmed activities. All right, just another minute, another second. All right, and the results show dining and food opportunities is something that's very much missed, which ties well into that previous question. But also improved connectivity, so wanting better connectivity through and probably to the site, as well as some programmed activities. Well, this is all very helpful, and it will definitely help inform our planning process as we move forward through this. So thank you for your responses and your time, and I'm going to hand this back over to Jennifer.
All right. Well, thank you so much for participating in the polling. That's a really great feature that we get out of Zoom, that we're able to get some immediate feedback. Not being in person, it's tough to put stickers on pictures. I think a lot of people have participated in events where you go in and pick the things you like by putting some stickers, dots on pictures, and this is a great substitute for that. So we're really happy that you were able to participate. We're going to give you just a couple of minutes. If there's any questions and answers that are questions you'd like to ask, please use the Q&A feature, or any comments you would like to make. During that time, I just wanted to let you know that we have held several stakeholder sessions with some smaller groups, and we will be holding additional public information opportunities for this project. So in the event that you are unable to come up with another question or an idea tonight and want to reach back out to us, we'll be able to incorporate that into our findings. Another thing I wanted to touch on, because I think this comes up a lot, specifically related to the boardwalk. A lot of people have asked about the segment of the boardwalk connecting from the Bridge Plaza area underneath the bridge up to the north segment by Tom Hooper Park. And that is currently in the works. We're working with the Florida Department of Transportation on a kind of, agreement so that they can fix their bulkhead underneath the bridge, and then we can build that segment. So it has been designed, it's in for permitting. We fully intend on constructing it. It's just that we're trying to coordinate timeframes so that we don't have to build something and take it back out or remove sections for them to do their repair work. So I'd like to address that here because I think that that's a question that comes up a lot. And I was very happy, and not surprised, but happy to see the responses about the restaurant, because I know that that's something in this district that people have been really wanting. The city is seeking a restaurant for the site near the banyan tree. And then I think that, Bridge Plaza is another kind of area they'd like to see a restaurant there. So there's just a lot of interest in that, and that is definitely well received by our project team. So with that, I'm going to give you just a moment. I'm going to switch over to the graphic. We'll leave that on the screen for just a minute. and then we'll come back. Okay, Chad, go ahead.
You have any questions?
Okay, we did receive some feedback earlier via email, and I do have my contact information as well as Kelly's on the screen. So after this evening, again, if you have any comments or questions, you feel free to email me, and we will disseminate that to the team and make sure that that information gets incorporated into our findings for the public information portion of this project. But seeing no additional questions, we had some feedback in the Q&A on additional ideas. But seeing no additional questions, we can go ahead and close out our meeting for this evening. I think we had one just pop up. Not sure if I missed if there's a concept plan that was presented, or are we just trying to get input on what elements to have designed? And that's a great question, Eric. There is no concept plan at this time. We can switch back. Actually, it's in a different presentation. We did have some ideas that were kind of generated as to start conversations, but nothing has been designed at this point. As you review the presentation that we'll post on the website, you're welcome to throw out some ideas to us. But if there is something specific you would like to see, we can definitely incorporate that information into our findings and see if it's something that's a good fit for this project. Another question came in. Does the city plan on acquiring any of the commercial properties near the intersection of Veterans Parkway and PSL Boulevard to create an identity or gateway to the proposed improvements? I'm going to let Chad speak to the gateways.
Yeah, if you do look at the map that's showing, that's posted online, we're looking at PSL Boulevard Bridge as a definite gateway. I mean, it already lends itself to that. I know a gateway type feature has already been done on Crosstown, and I think it lends itself to the same thing at PSL Boulevard. I don't think there's any look to acquire the commercial properties on the city's behalf. However, as part of this master plan effort, we definitely are seeking input from those stakeholders in the commercial properties to see how we can best, help that integrate and create some gateway elements that definitely transition more successfully to some of those commercial properties like Bridge Plaza and the new boardwalk connection, how we can enhance that connectivity as a gateway, as well as on the north side of PSL Boulevard as well. So as you can see on this map that's currently showing is the kind of larger circles, both on Veterans Memorial Parkway as a gateway, which there's a water feature on the southeast side, but we are definitely looking at that as a gateway opportunity. And then also from the water, I mean, the bridge, as you're taking a boat or kayak underneath PSL Boulevard Bridge. There's some gateway opportunities there as well as some of the smaller cuts throughout the St. Lucie. So hopefully that answers your question, that it is being looked at.
And I think, the city would enjoy partnerships, to help promote this region. We have two really wonderful fountains just on the east side of what is Westmoreland into Veterans Memorial Parkway, one on the north and one on the south side. And those are great opportunities to kind of show and define the district. But we have had conversations with those in the Publix Plaza on the north side of PSL Boulevard, as well as the City Fountain Center on the south side, and obviously Bridge Plaza being incorporated into the Port District. So we're not just looking at those that are inside the district, but those that are close by, and knowing how important that is to them as well. And this plan, along with the entire presentation, will be available on the website in a few days. We will need to get that posted. Yep. We have another question about what is the time frame for generating concepts?
So our goal is to kind of go back to our offices, put our ideas together, really start to digest a lot of the information that we have received over the last several days. And I would say over the next month or two, we should have some preliminary concepts that we're going to be sharing, I think first internally, to make sure that at least we're in agreement that they're mostly good ideas, and then we'll have some more touch points with the community.
The next question is, have you been in discussion with any specific restaurants? I can speak to the site down by the banyan tree that, yes, we were very close to bringing in Manatee Island Bar and Grill. Unfortunately, the timing of that with COVID made it a little challenging for them to move forward with opening another restaurant. They do have two existing restaurants in the region. So we have recently partnered with a commercial broker who is going to assist us in trying to identify a restaurant that'll be a best fit for that location. In our stakeholder sessions earlier today, we had Bridge Plaza representatives who have indicated that they're very excited about bringing in a restaurant for that one vacant tract that is on this west end of their property, adjacent to the boardwalk entrance. So as far as any detail on that, we didn't have any, just that was something that they were excited about entertaining as well. And I think those were the two main sites for the restaurants. Go ahead, John.
I've been holding back, and I think everybody is cringing now that I'm talking. I think that there's an incredible opportunity here. I've now spent a couple of days in Port St. Lucie and came in pretty empty-headed about what was here, and have talked to a lot of people, just run into people on the street, along the waterfront, in the parks. And it's interesting that this community has a pretty common view of the port and kind of where it might want to go. And I think you reinforced it by some of the questions that were asked and the answers that you got. But there's no question you have an opportunity to create something that is absolutely singular, not only in Port St. Lucie and in this direct market, but potentially the state of Florida. This is an incredible asset when you look at everything from Lion Gate Park to up to where the banyan tree and all of that is now. It's just not as connected as it could be, and it's not as singular experience as much as it could be. But there's no question that it can be the heart and soul of Port St. Lucie. I think there's no question that you can create something that's memorable, creates great memories and memorable moments, can certainly carry the romance of what Port St. Lucie has been about, but also expressed in a fresh forward way that talks about memory and prophecy. That's how do you build on the history of what's here, and how do you translate that in a way that's relevant to today's culture and how people see themselves. And I think there's a real potential for creating a strong emotional connection to all the residents and also people from outside the community. I think when you asked about whether there was a plan, there's a lot of listening going on right now and understanding what's in the hearts and minds and what's the sort of DNA of this community. And then how do we make sure that every move that we make is in service to building that brand, as it were? That's kind of a smarmy word, but I think it's a very strong, clearly articulated message about what the port is and what that place can be, so that if we're going to bring a restaurant in or whatever move we make, does it build on what we're trying to create? You know, the sense of right now we are clearly the stewards of an incredible piece of property and stewards of what happens along the riverfront. And there's a responsibility that comes with that I think creates, again, something that's really in alignment with where the culture is going, what people are looking for in their lives. I think when Jen talks about, you know, a restaurant, how do you find the right restaurateur that's really will create a place that's in service to all the qualities that you're trying to create on the riverfront. So that's a lot of what we're thinking about now. Chad and Beth and I do that around the country. So that's just sort of from where I sit now, my observations in my day and a half.
Thanks, John. John gets credit for traveling the furthest for this meeting from Colorado. We do have another question, and this is really a great question about permitting. Has the design team engaged the state about permitting? Will these improvements take as long to permit as Crosstown Parkway? That's a great question. Crosstown Parkway was a huge project. We are working with DEP and the Water Management District and DOT. And these are all layers in permitting that we've had to go through for our boardwalk project. So we are in the middle of efforts in permitting additional sections of the boardwalk. Based on what is on the screen, you can see that kind of that map there where there is a large green section in the middle. A lot of those lands were, especially along Veterans Memorial Parkway, were originally in the city ownership and were deeded over to the state as part of mitigation for Crosstown Parkway. So those lands are in state ownership, as part of the North Fork Aquatic Preserve. And I think, a lot of what we've heard from this in the stakeholder sessions is that people would like to be connected to nature with trails and things like that. So if that is the case, we will have to engage, additional permitting activities to make that happen. So we don't anticipate it to necessarily take as long as Crosstown Parkway. We hope it doesn't take that long, but we really hope to partnership with these agencies and be able to bring people, back into nature. Question, what is the ETA of the nature trails in the southernmost part of the property? So I'm assuming you're speaking to the preserve, or what was formerly known as the conservation tract. We have, as part of our southern segment of the boardwalk, we did create the connections that will be going upland into that section. What we will be doing, hopefully in the next fiscal year, we're hoping to bring that project forward as part of our capital improvement program and be able to create and define those trails when we do the site work for that middle tract site, when we're building the playground and building the parking lot and things like that. We're hoping to leverage, having contractors out there at that time and minimize any downtime to our residents and kind of get that all done at once and be able to deliver a finished product. Again, that's going to be subject to us being able to move up our CIP on that, and that's how our projects are funded out over several fiscal years. So again, hopeful that that's going to be coming up relatively soon as part of our other site projects. And we just have a comment not a question, but it says you have a wonderful opportunity to use this project to create an identity for the city. I hope this project becomes the cornerstone for creating design guidelines for the city moving forward. And I really appreciate that comment. I think that's a great way to look at it. We do too. Okay, so it looks like we have addressed all the questions that we've received this far. Again, my contact information is on the screen. If you do think of something after today, I encourage you to reach out to me. You can email me, you can give me a call, and we'll get that information. We'll either answer your question right then or get somebody back to you that can answer that. But we appreciate you taking time out of your evening. And we thank you so much for your participation. Oh, one more thing. I think we are going to be releasing an online survey associated with this that will allow for the public that didn't attend this meeting to provide answers to the questions that were answered tonight, as well as probably a few additional questions. So be on the lookout for that. We will be announcing that through our social media platforms as well as on the website. So I think with that, we're all done.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.